This is an instructional video on how to set up your leagues so that way every team will play every team. What I mean by that is some smaller businesses or smaller leagues might only have a certain amount of time to play their league. So let's say their business allows them to play their league in 2 months. So they might set up an 8-week league. By doing that, in most cases, not all the teams will be able to play all the other teams in the league, and would make it unfair if some of the newer beginning teams had to play all the top teams but not play all the teams closer to their ability. So they might have a lot more losses. So by doing this, what I'm about to show you, you'll be able to create a league that makes it fair where every team plays every team. So what we're going to do is we're going to start a new league, and we're going to give it a name. And let's just say we have 30 teams. We're going to enter 30 teams here, and we're going to hit next. Most of the people that will be using this site will be using the site for the handicap feature. So we'll say there's a handicap, or we want to figure handicap. We'll make another video on how to do that. So look for that on this page. We're going to hit next. And now it's asking how many weeks of regular play will you have? Well, that's where you need to do a little math. So if you have 30 teams, what you can do is go out on the internet and look for a 30-team pool play or round robin play. You will see here, this is what a basic 30-team league schedule looks like. Being you have 30 teams, consider yourself the 30th team, you have 29 other teams to play. This is a basic schedule of how that works. It's not the schedule we use on the site, but it gives you a basic idea of how many teams there are and how many games need to be played. So let's just say you played one game a week. It would take 29 weeks in order to play it all. That's not the best way to set up a league. So what you could do is play multiple matches in a night. So a lot of my leagues I set up to play 6 games a night. 6 games a night usually takes about an hour and a half. Short enough to get games in, and not too long where people are feeling like they're there for, way too long. So looking at this basic schedule, you can kind of start figuring out how many matches and how many games you want to play each night in order to fit this whole schedule in a certain amount of time. So what I've done is, to kind of give you a better idea, is I've taken that schedule and I've broken it down into weeks. Each week is a different color here, switching between the yellows and the grays. And like I said, I like to play either 2 matches, 3 games in each match, or 3 matches with 2 games in each match. So what I've done is I figured out my first week of gameplay, which is January 9th. Then every week I add in 3 dates, or 3 months and a date, so that way I kind of get an idea on how many weeks it's going to take. And you will see here with 3 matches of 2 games, it's going to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks. This 10th week will be a short week because there's only 2 games left to be played. Then, if I wanted to add a couple weeks for playoffs, I can add 2 more weeks in here, and you can make a playoff scenario however you want for those 2 weeks. Let's say you have a smaller league. Let's say you only have 8 teams. So if you have 8 teams, if you only played 1 a night, it would take 7 weeks to play. If you wanted to give more games, let's say you did 2 matches of 3 games, then if you only did, I'm just going to cover this. This here would be the perfect or the proper schedule of how many games need to be played. But if you want to make your league a little longer, you can make everybody play everybody twice. So this schedule is set up for 2 matches, 3 games each match every night. So it would take 1, 2, 3, 3.5 weeks to play. Well, that's not a long enough time for a league. I mean, you want to give your players a little bit longer of a season. So we'll just do it again. You will see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 all play each other the first week. You will see it does it again, but it goes backwards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the scheduling changes up a little bit. But everybody in this second part of the season will play the exact same games they played in the first half. But if you play it all in one season, it gives you more weeks to play. So that's what you would do if you had a shorter, or if you had only 8 teams. You could make them play each other twice in a season. So we're going to go back here to our 30 team that we're setting up, and we figured out that we needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 weeks to play all the games. And then I'm going to add 2 more weeks so I can enter scores for playoffs. So we had 10, and we're going to go 11, 12. So when we go back to our league schedule here, we're going to put in 12 weeks. Again, the reason why we're putting in 12 weeks is so we can play our 10 weeks of normal schedule and then give ourselves 2 more weeks to enter scores for the playoffs. Again, we're going to do 3 matches a night, and we're going to play 2 games each night. We're going to hit next here. If you want to keep track of 4-baggers or keep track of some additional stats, you're able to do that here. Hit create league. You're going to put in all your team names and hit save. And then you're going to go over here and create the schedule. And now you will see that the schedules are made. And without the team names, it's going to be hard to show you here, but your schedule will be set all the way through the 10th week. But remember that that 3rd match is going to be what your very first week match was, because the schedule restarts itself. Your 3rd match here is going to be the first match of the week 1 schedule. And what I mean by that is this last week here, the 10th week, these 2 matches are your final 2 matches. If there was a 30th match, it would be this first week over again. It would restart the schedule. So, oops. You would ignore this last match. You would play every week, and then on that 10th week, you'd only have these 2 matches to play. So if we come back here, when you go and you enter your scores, you're going to print your scorecards out every week until you get to this 10th one, or you'll print out your 10th week, but remember that 3rd match is a redo of week 1's first match. These 2 here, you wouldn't need to print the scorecards out, but it gives you 2 more weeks to enter scores for those playoff games, depending on how you do your playoffs. Some people will take the standings and do a bracket, and whoever wins the bracket wins the league. But what I do is I make those top, let's say, 4 teams or top 8 teams all play each other without handicap, because they're all evenly matched, and put their wins and losses in these extra weeks that I have built in. Again, this is just a simple way of figuring out how many weeks you need to play in order for every team to play all the other teams in their league, and a 2-week build-in for playoffs if you wanted to add that. If you have any questions, shoot us an email. We'd be more than happy to help.